Hey everybody, today we're looking at graphing in slope-intercept form. So we already talked about slope-intercept form. We already kind of know what it is. We know it's this right here, y equals mx plus b. And in particular, we know that this right here, this m, stands for the slope. So it's basically like whatever the coefficient of x is, that's your slope, or you can call it your unit rate, or it's the constant of proportionality. Basically, this m is the slope. But the thing we haven't really talked about yet is, what does this b stand for over here? This b stands for the y-intercept. It's telling you on a graph where your line would cross the y-axis. So like if we had a coordinate plane that looks like this, right? And if you had an equation that looked like this, if it was like y equals, let's just say, I don't know, x plus 7, for example, right? If you had y equals x plus 7, this would be in slope-intercept form. The m would be 1 because you have 1x. The b would be a positive 7. That means that your line is going to cross up here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right at positive 7 on the y-axis is where that line is going to cross, right? So that means your line in this case would kind of look like this, right? It would kind of look like that. And this spot right here where it crosses, that's the y-intercept at positive 7. So where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, so let's go down and look at some examples here. Okay, we have an equation. It's in slope-intercept form. We need to identify the m and the b, so we have to figure out what those two things are. Well, I'm going to write this here just to help me remember, right? So I can start matching stuff up, right? M is going to be 2/3. Those two things match up. So I could say 2/3, right? Keep matching stuff up. B is this plus 4 right here. Okay, so we're going to say b is 4. So now we need to think, how do we graph this? Well, where you want to start is, these are the only two things you need, right? You want to start with the b, okay? Because you know the line is going to cross the y-axis at that point. So if b is 4, I'm going to go up and count to 4. That's right there. And I know I'm going to put a point there because that's where the line crosses. Then I have to use my slope, which is 2/3, to figure out 2 more points. So we know that slope is the same thing as rise over run. So this rise over run is 2/3. So that means I'm going to be going up 2 spaces. So I can go, let's do this. Let's say go up 2 spaces. We're going to run 3 spaces. And that's going to be our next point right there. We'll do that one more time to get a 3rd point. So up 2 over 3. There's our point. And then you can take and connect all 3 dots. I would recommend making your line go all the way through your graph. Put your arrows on the end. Okay? Let's look at one more example. Sometimes they won't be in slope-intercept form. Sometimes they'll be all jumbled up, right? So this is what we want it to be, but it's in the wrong form. So I need to solve for y. So if I'm taking this equation and I'm solving for y, what I'm going to do first is add 2y to both sides. I want to send the y's to the left. Okay, these will cancel, and I'll have 2y plus x equals -6. Now I don't want 2y, I want 1y. Before I get to that though, I want to get rid of this x, because it's being attached there. So I can subtract it away on both sides, and I'll get 2y equals -x minus 6. Okay, now's the step where I want to get that y by itself. I divide by 2. So I'm left with y equals, if I have -x divided by 2, that's like saying -1/2 x. Okay, and then if I have -6 divided by 2, that's like -3. So this would be in slope-intercept form now. So I could fill these things in, and I can say my slope is -1/2. My y-intercept is at -3. So like we said before, we start at the y-intercept. So I'm going to go down 3, because that's where -3 is, and put a point right there. Now I use my slope, which is -1 over 2. So I'm going to go down 1 because it's -1 over 2. There's my next point. Do the same thing. Get your third point. Then I can draw my line through. Okay? And that's it. So that's how you find the slope and the y-intercept from an equation, and that's how you quickly graph those.